Vectors. A vector is a quantity with both magnitude and direction. Magnitude is another way to say the size of something. So quantities that are vectors will have both a size and a direction. In diagrams, we represent them with an arrow. It's a very natural choice where the length of the arrow represents the size of the vector. So if that represents a velocity and it's 12 meters per second, we should represent 6 meters per second as half the length of the 12 meter per second vector. And then the arrowhead points the direction that the vector is going. Examples of quantities in physics that are vectors: position, velocity, acceleration, displacement. If you're learning about vectors in an intro physics course, that's probably about where you are, but also a little preview of what's coming. Force is a vector, momentum is a vector, torque is a vector. All of the angular position, velocity, accelerations are also vectors. Angular momentum is a vector. Tons of things are vectors, but there also are some things that are scalars. A scalar is a quantity that does not have direction associated with it. So you're giving all the information about the quantity and it doesn't have a direction. Examples that come up in intro physics are temperature and mass. Temperature: water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. It's of course possible to have negative degrees Celsius, and all that means is it means it's colder than 0 degrees Celsius. These two arrows, if they're exactly the same length and exactly the same direction, so I attempted to draw them that way, then those two arrows are a representation of the exact same vector. So aside from position, which is usually given with respect to the origin, a vector has a length and a magnitude. It doesn't matter where it is. So you can move it over if there's a reason you need to move it over in the problem. For example, when you add vectors, as we'll learn later, when you add vectors, you usually move them so that the tail of one vector is at the tip of the next vector. A word about quantities where direction is important. So for example, if you say something is 3 miles away, it matters whether it's 3 miles to the east, 3 miles to the north, 3 miles to the west, or 3 miles south. In physics, unless we mean 0 degrees from the x-axis due east, we don't usually use east, west, north, south. We use the angle. So here I've drawn a vector at 30 degrees with respect to the x-axis. That's the default we usually give. I'll say a lot more about vector notation in another video.